Hello everyone, in today's video I'm going to learn about the conspiracy that says that Paul McCartney died in a car crash in 1966 and that this guy is not Paul McCartney at all. So I first heard remnants of this when I was doing the Beatles reaction series, and this conspiracy theory kind of intrigued me, so let's get into it. So the theory goes that on the 9th of November 1966, Paul McCartney had an argument with his bandmates during a Beatles recording session and drove off angrily in his car, crashed, which resulted in his untimely death. To spare the public from grief, the remaining Beatles replaced Paul with the winner of a look-alike contest. The replacement was William Campbell, whom the Beatles then trained to impersonate Paul McCartney. So Paul has an argument with bandmates, he's in a car accident, and in order to prevent grief for the public, John Lennon, George Harrison, Ringo Starr pretend like it never happened. We're lucky enough to found this guy called William who's willing to abandon his life and come and join us, and we're going to teach him to be Paul. That's a lot already, but let's keep going. From 1967 onwards, the Paul McCartney we know was in fact William Campbell. On 26th of May 1967, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band was released, providing more evidence and clues for this conspiracy. If we take a look at the album cover, Paul can be seen wearing a patch on his arm with the letters OPD, meaning officially pronounced dead. On the back of the cover, we see George Harrison pointing to the lyric that says, Wednesday morning at 5 o'clock, which is believed by some to be the time and day that Paul McCartney allegedly died. Okay, so Paul McCartney has passed away. The next album is Sgt. Pepper Lonely Hearts Club Band, and in order to keep the public happy, we have this person who's pretending to be Paul, and due to guilt, the band are like, we're gonna leave clues on the album because we feel terrible. So we're gonna put clues on the album cover to let people know what actually happened. But then like, why go through, why cover it up? That's my thought. Why cover it up if you're just gonna be like, we're gonna double some clues? But there are far more clues and evidence to talk about, so let's continue. Another notable clue on the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album cover, when a mirror is held up to the drum, a date is revealed. Initially, it is a little difficult to decipher, but some people believe that it says 119 he die. This is believed to be just another clue from the surviving Beatles to let the public know what really happened on that day. Okay, so clues are building up, more evidence is coming out, and it just continues from this point forward. So let's continue with this conspiracy. The clues don't stop here though. Listeners found that when certain sections of songs were reversed, a hidden message could be heard. Here is a portion of the song Revolution 9.
Number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9.
But if you play this section in reverse, we start to hear something quite strange. Towards the end of Strawberry Fields Forever, John Lennon is heard saying, I buried Paul, revealing to the public the true fate of their friend, Paul McCartney. There came a point in time where people were dissecting the lyrics of the Beatles to the point where John Lennon actually wrote the song Glass Onion. He decided that I'm just going to put gibberish lyrics and let's see what the people decide this means. So they were becoming aware that people were kind of dissecting their music to the point where they started kind of mucking around with their audience a little bit. So it's hard to know whether these clues or evidence are in fact clues or evidence, or it is just the band mucking around. But in saying that, I would like to debunk a few of the points I've mentioned. So let's get into that. The patch I referred to earlier, where Paul is wearing the OPD, officially pronounced dead badge, was actually found to be a police badge for the Ontario Provincial Police. Next, in Strawberry Fields Forever, John Lennon said, I wasn't shouting I buried Paul. He was actually saying cranberry sauce. So let's take another listen. I find it very interesting when you have audio that is difficult to decipher. When a text is placed underneath that audio, it's almost as if we then hear what the text says. Because initially when I had I Buried Paul with this audio, you hear I Buried Paul. But when we now know that John Lennon's like, no, I was saying cranberry sauce, we hear cranberry sauce. Regarding the reversed image of the drum on the Sgt. Pepper Lonely Hearts Club Band album cover, that is a mouthful. So if in fact this was revealing the date when Paul McCartney died, it is written in the incorrect format. Just like us Aussies, British people write day, month, year. We do not write it in the way that Americans do. So if the British Beatles were in fact trying to allude to the fact that Paul McCartney did die on this day, why would they not have written it in the format they've probably written dates for their entire life? Okay, but let's say for argument's sake, I'm incorrect. Paul McCartney died and that all these clues are to be taken seriously and that these are all evidence and clues to indicate that this guy is an imposter. So let's say that Paul McCartney did die in a car crash in 1966. Let's say that John Lennon, George Harrison, Ringo Starr, business managers, family, all relatives agreed to this and never mentioned a word. Let's say that the government agreed to cover all this up. Let's just say that all of that happened. I find it really difficult to believe that the surviving Beatles managed to find a guy who looks not just alike. They managed to find someone who looks 100% identical to Paul McCartney. They managed to find someone who could play the instruments like Paul McCartney or had the ability to learn. They managed to find someone who was able to write amazing songs like Hey Jude. They were able to find someone who not only spoke like Paul McCartney, he was able to sing like Paul McCartney. He was able to have his mannerisms. He was able to be Paul McCartney 100%, that no one really noticed any changes in any sort of way until these clues were used as evidence. That is where I find it difficult. But just for fun, let's have a vocal comparison. So if Paul McCartney did die in 1966, let's compare the real Paul McCartney's vocals. So we're going to choose Yesterday because that's a great song. We're going to compare it to Hey Jude, which was released in 1968, meaning that this was not the real Paul. Let's have a vocal comparison.
Oh, I believe in yesterday. Take a sad song and make it better.
The vocal comparisons, they seem incredibly similar. The restrictive use of vibrato, like the very kind of straightforward singing, but then specific use of vibrato and points is exactly the same. The ability to write classic hit songs. If it was easy, I'd be doing it. There are definitely people who can mimic vocal qualities. We see that all the time in talk show hosts where people will sing like another singer, and that is a skill. But to have someone who can do that, who looks exactly like the person, we would be having movie biopics where actors would look identical to the real people. Yet we somehow haven't been able to do what the Beatles did in 1966 and find a real person that can 100% look like Paul McCartney. I've gone off on a bit of a tangent, I think. There is currently a man who says he is Sir Paul McCartney. I believe that this is Paul McCartney. Not at all do I believe he passed away and it was covered up. Even if you do believe in this conspiracy, just take a moment to think that this guy says he is Paul McCartney. Whether you believe that or not, one day he is not going to be here. He will actually die. And so you currently live in a time where you have a chance to go still see his shows. You can still be enjoying his music and work while he's still alive, because one day that is going to be taken away from you. Currently, Ringo Starr and Paul McCartney are the only surviving Beatles. And one day that's not going to be the case. And so I think it's lucky to be able to appreciate the work and the art that you love so much, created by the people that you admire and love so much, while they're still around. Like, that opportunity is not going to be there for you forever. To this day, we still hear rumors of this celebrity died in a car accident. They died in this tragic way, and they're like, no, I'm still alive. So rumors do occur and can be incorrect and not true. Are there any other stories in the music world that you feel like need to be talked about that are interesting or funny, whether that be movie music sets or anything? Please let me know, because I enjoyed this. Until next time, bye.